Hello, everyone. We're going to get started now. We wanted to welcome everyone to the My Employment Options and Department of State webinar on Schedule A Hiring Authority. My name is Pam Barnett, and I am the Rehabilitation Services Manager at My Employment Options. We are the host of today's event and are an employment network in the free federal Ticket to Work program. To learn more about our free employment services for those on SSDI or SSI, you can visit myemploymentoptions.com. Or if you are already an MEO client, you can reach out to your MEO job counselor if you have webinar questions. A quick technical reminder, closed captioning is available today. To turn it on, go to your Zoom toolbar and click the CC Show Captions button. If you want to take the font bigger or change settings, click the little arrow and click Caption Settings. If you decide to turn off the captions, click the CC Hide Captions button on the toolbar. We are very excited to have our partner and guest speaker here today, Ryan Jennings. Ryan is the Acting Selective Placement Program Coordinator in the Bureau of Global Talent Management for the Department of State. Ryan, thank you again for presenting today. The floor is yours.
Hey, everybody. It's good to be with you today, and thanks for having me come out. My name is Ryan Jennings, and I'm the Selective Placement Program Coordinator for the Department of State. And just a little background, Department of State is the foreign affairs agency for the federal government. So we hire employees to work both domestic and overseas at our many consulates and embassies spread around the world. Next slide, please. And as the selective placement coordinator, I work with management to recruit and retain a diverse pool of individuals with disabilities. Next slide, please. So Schedule A, the Schedule A authority is a non-competitive hiring authority that streamlines the hiring process for talented and qualified individuals with disabilities looking for civil service positions. So in other words, using Schedule A, those individuals with disabilities can be hired without competition. And this is a key part of the hiring advancement program established in the Department of State's Affirmative Action Program to go along with the Rehabilitation Act. So this regulation in particular sets a goal for each federal agency to have no less than 12% of its employees be individuals with disabilities, and no less than 2% of those be individuals with targeted disabilities or serious health conditions. And right now, the Department of State is at 21%, which consists of a huge portion of the workforce. So we've surpassed the minimum requirement. We at State like to think of those percentages as a floor and not a ceiling. So our goal is not the minimum set by law, 12%, but to have a diverse agency that fully represents the American people, which of course includes individuals with disabilities and the talent that they would bring to the department. Next slide, please. So this hiring authority applies only to civil service positions, which is mainly domestic. And that's in the accepted service from grades GS1 all the way up to the office director level, which is GS15. And one of the main benefits of Schedule A hiring authority is the expedited hiring process, which managers love because positions can be filled without posting job announcements on USA Jobs. In addition, Schedule A candidates can apply directly on USA Jobs by responding to eligibility questions on the announcement and uploading their Schedule A letters in the system. But I also want to mention that there's no predetermined or designated Schedule A positions. So any position from GS1 up to GS-15 has the potential to be filled by a Schedule A candidate. Next slide, please. So there's two specific requirements to be eligible for Schedule A. The first requirement is that you must provide proof of disability for an intellectual disability, severe physical disability, or psychiatric disability. And proof of that will need to be in the form of a Schedule A letter, which would need to be obtained from licensed medical practitioners or licensed vocational rehabilitation counselors or any federal, state, local agency that provides disability benefits. And the Schedule A letter must certify that you, the individual, has an intellectual, severe physical, or psychiatric disability and can be considered for employment under the Schedule A hiring authority. The letters must be dated and signed on the provider's letterhead. And if electronically signed, it must also show a digital signature and state that it's been signed electronically, just to ensure that there's no fraudulent letters coming in. And the second requirement to be eligible for Schedule A hiring is that the candidate is qualified for the position that they're looking to apply for. Next slide, please. Okay. So this slide shows the first example of a Schedule A letter template, which would need to be issued from your licensed medical practitioner. And by medical practitioner, we mean to include doctors, nurse practitioners, physician's assistants, psychologists, to name a few. So as you can see on the letter, the letters, excuse me, should not contain the individual specific diagnosis, as this would open up the candidate to potential discrimination during the hiring process. And but the intent of having a broad, non-specific letter is just to include all three disability types on the letters, which will prevent any unconscious bias on the part of hiring managers throughout the hiring process. So we don't want to disclose any specific disabilities for anybody. And these Schedule A letter templates that we provide to candidates are pulled directly from the OPM and EEOC websites, found right under the disability employment section. So we've simply converted each document to a PDF, from PDF to a Word document, as a convenient way for your doctor or counselor to use each template, and then just change the name, date, and add their logo. So if you have any questions regarding the letters, please feel free to send them to us. I will, at the end of the presentation, I will give you my contact information. All right, so the second template is, oh, excuse me, next slide, please. There you go. The second template is used by vocational rehabilitation counselors or specialists. This letter is slightly different than for medical practitioners. It just certifies that the individual has a documented disability and names the vocational rehab services agency that determined the disability. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to send them to us, and I will give you that contact information towards the end. Next slide, please. So to facilitate the hiring of Schedule A employees, our team, the selective placement team, maintains what we call a talent database. And this is essentially a repository that houses all the information for all the Schedule A candidates that submit documents to us. And this includes the candidate's response to an occupational survey that we send out, which is 4 questions. Just getting a background on your experience, what type of job you're looking for, and then there's an open-ended question for you just to let us know about your job experience so far. And for us, this talent database is a searchable database from which we refer you, the candidate, to HR specialists and hiring managers when referrals are requested. Next slide, please. All right, so ways that you can actually apply for a Schedule A position. Once candidates are in the talent database, they can be referred in two ways. The first one, candidates can request referrals by submitting USA job announcement links, direct links to the selected placement team at selectedplacement@state.gov. Before sending referrals, please make sure to check specialized experience listed in each USA Jobs vacancy announcement that you're interested in. And I just want to give a side note that the specialized experience for the positions that you see on USA Jobs are listed in each announcement and can vary greatly with each job series. So an important thing to remember is that if your resume does not line up with the specialized experience in the announcement, then you probably won't be considered for the position in question. So please make sure that every and any experience that you have is on your resume. A lot of hiring managers use AI and do word searches, so they're actually looking for certain things. And most of that is tailored from the specialized experience in the announcement. So most times it'll be necessary for you to tailor your resume to the announcement that you're interested in. And we also recommend that Schedule A candidates apply for positions directly on USA Jobs, as well as request Schedule A referrals through our team, the selected placement team, to the same announcement. And that's actually the best way for hiring managers to notice you. The second way, excuse me, the second way that Schedule A candidates are referred are we have HR specialists and hiring managers actually request direct referrals from us. And as I mentioned earlier, the Schedule A hiring authority is non-competitive. So it's a way that hiring managers can bypass the lengthy process on USA Jobs. So what they'll do is they'll send us either a list of specialized experience or send us a position description and say, hey, we're looking to hire this, let's say, program analyst. Can you search the database and see if there's anybody who has any experience that matches up? And then that's when we'll go in, and based on your answers, we'll look through, and if we find anybody who matches up, then we'll send your resume directly to the hiring manager. And once the referrals have been made, it's up to the Bureau HR specialist to determine the final qualifications. And subsequently, they can arrange for interviews or they can make a direct selection. So another important note is, and this is a huge advantage, is that hiring managers do not have to interview you for the job. They could hire you directly and send out an offer just based on your resume. That doesn't happen in most times, but it does happen. So, yeah. Next slide, please. All right. So next, I wanted to briefly touch on the WRP program, which is the Workforce Recruitment Program. The WRP this is an internship program managed by Department of Defense and Department of Labor, and it enables federal hiring managers to connect with qualified students with disabilities and recent graduates for paid internships. And using this process, hiring managers will be able to search the WRP specific database for candidates with specific skills to fill their positions. And our office funds up to 10 candidates for 10-week internships per fiscal year at grades GS4, 5, 7, and 9. And when you're at just to put it in perspective, when you're at the 4 and 5 level, that is bachelor's degree, or if you don't have bachelor's degree, then it's a few, I think it's 1 or 2 years work experience. So these positions are available for interns. They are, excuse me, the positions available for interns are office automation assistant, which is an entry level. I don't want to say secretary, but it's kind of like an office manager, office assistant. And then we have program analyst jobs. So all these positions, the office automation assistant and program analyst internship positions, require a secret security clearance. And the goal of this is that the work experience leads to a permanent position in the department eventually for the interns. So to be eligible for the WRP internship, we encourage candidates to work with their college, university career center counselors to join the Department of Labor database through their website. And if you have any questions, please contact the WRP program managers by email at wrp@departmentofflabor.gov. Just let them know that you're looking for more information, or you can go to wrp.gov. And there's plenty of information on there. Next slide, please. Okay, and the last program that I'm going to touch on is the Wounded Warrior or Operation Warfighter internship experience. This internship experience is designed to support service members who are wounded, ill, or convalescing, and they're eligible to work in the department for a specified period of time, which is usually shorter than a year, before they're discharged from the military. So we receive a weekly list of available wounded warriors from DoD, Department of Defense, and then we send those out to our bureau liaisons. And then if a bureau is interested in hiring one, then we will get them in contact with Department of Defense to bring them on board for the internship. And that is it for Wounded Warriors. And next slide, please. Okay, so going back to what I mentioned earlier with the Schedule A letters, this is our short resources list. So if you guys have any questions about the presentation in general, Schedule A program, or excuse me, Schedule A authority, Schedule A program, please reach out to selectedplacement@state.gov. I know with presentations, it's a lot to take in all at once. Usually after a couple of days, you'll probably forget a few things. So reach out to us at selectedplacement@state.gov. Also go to careers@state.gov for information on civil and foreign service careers. And there's another student internship program that is on that site, that's featured on that site, that exists, and it's a paid student internship opportunity, which includes the Pathways program, the Workforce Recruitment program, and then Colin Powell Leadership Program. It's an internship. They're hiring for all job series around the department. I believe they hired 229 interns in 2024. And those interns were spread domestically between Washington, D.C., New York, and then I'm pretty sure 6 were sent overseas to post abroad. The interns come in as a GS4, but you also receive fully furnished housing and round-trip transportation to where your internship is. And then on the site, there's also a link where you can receive updates for upcoming program cycles and general updates related to the program. And that concludes my portion. And I believe we have some questions next.
Yes. Now we're going to go over some questions that were submitted by our audience. Our first question comes from William from New Jersey. William, please go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. What entry-level jobs are available at the Department of State, especially remote jobs that do not require specialized degrees?
Okay, so there are no predetermined jobs. So, and that's good for you, because what that means is there are entry-level jobs for virtually every job series. I'm not a recruiter, so I couldn't tell you exactly how many job series there are, but there's probably around 60 that come up a lot, that are most common. So my recommendation would be to go to usajobs.gov, sign up, and then start searching for positions that you're interested in through the Department of State or any agency that you think that you'd be qualified for. And like I said earlier, just review the specialized experience, make sure that that lines up with your resume, and apply. And if it looks good to you, then please send us a referral request that has the direct link to the announcement and then an updated copy of your resume, and we will help you out with a referral request. But another thing that I want to mention is that for the jobs that are open to persons with disabilities, it must state that in the announcement. Now, not all of them do, but the majority of the announcements do say that. So it must be open to persons with disabilities. And I think I covered everything. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
Yep.
And Crystal, you have a question today?
Yes, good morning. Is it better to disclose your disability when applying for a job?
So with this program, I would say you don't want to disclose your specific disability. And the way that Schedule A is set up is that okay, so once you submit a valid Schedule A letter, it's just going to say that you are a person that has psychiatric, severe physical, or intellectual disability. So it doesn't disclose your specific disability. And the reason why we set the letters like that up are because it protects you, just to ensure that there's no discrimination throughout the hiring process. Not that there would be, but it's just to make sure that everybody has the same exact letter that goes through. And then once you're in, depending on what your disability is, and it doesn't matter what it is, we have teams that handle reasonable accommodations for persons that have disabilities. Some of them are severe, some of them aren't, but they do a pretty good job of accommodating you. So, but also, just to put it in perspective, we have employees who are overseas in remote reaches of Africa who require accommodations. So I would focus on getting the Schedule A letter in, and just applying for the jobs and trying to get your foot in the door, and then going from there.
All right, thank you, Ryan.
Yep.
Jessica from Florida here. What are the benefits offered in federal jobs?
So the benefits from federal jobs, well, the pension is the main one. your dental, life insurance, health insurance, or like you'll get the package. Once you're hired, you'll get a package for that, and then you could select whichever one you want. I think there's like 150 to select from. It's almost overwhelming. The pension really is the main one, but I only work with Schedule A, so I don't really know. I can't really think of all the benefits, but the dental, life, health insurance, and the pension. Oh, and then there's also the pre-select program for flights. So when you're flying, or excuse me, the pre-check. So I believe if you come in and you get a job that's top secret, or then you get that free. It comes with your position. But other than that, I can't really think of too many other things. And also there's a good amount of jobs that allow for remote workers too. It just depends on the office and who the office director is. So I would say those things mainly.
Great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Joan. Question is, how long is the overall hiring process for federal positions?
That's a good question. So it can vary, and it really depends on how you're hired. And I mentioned earlier that through Schedule A, you have the potential to completely bypass the hiring process through USA Jobs, which takes weeks sometimes. But I would say it usually takes a couple weeks, because so you apply, and then the hiring manager is going to review the resumes that come in. They might do some interviews, and they'll schedule those for the next week. So I would say 2 to 3 weeks, and then in the event that you're selected, the hiring manager will reach out to you and will extend a tentative offer letter. Excuse me. And then if you accept the tentative offer letter, that's when they get the process going as far as your security investigation or remote work agreement. And the security investigation can vary. That can be a couple months, depending on if you have a top secret, or public trust. The public trust ones will be quick because they're more localized, but the top secret clearances could take a couple months. And that also depends too. It depends on if you're a world traveler, if you've lived overseas. There's a lot of factors. So I would just say to get a tentative offer, usually a couple weeks. So it's not too long.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Hi, how do I get an updated Schedule A letter?
Okay, so the Schedule A letter you're gonna get from your doctor or physician's assistant or vocational rehabilitation counselor. We have templates which you can either email me at selectiveplacement@state.gov, or I can actually send a couple templates to the folks at MEO to issue out. But really what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to send one of those templates, whichever one applies to you, to your doctor or counselor, and they're just going to insert your name and just say, hey, so-and-so is a person with an intellectual, severe physical, or psychiatric disability. They'll need to sign it. And then once you get that, then you'll want to send it to me at selectiveplacement@state.gov. And then from there, along with your resume, we'll get you in the talent database, and then that's when we can start sending referrals on your behalf.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Does the Schedule A hiring authority really help disabled people find jobs in the federal government?
Yes. Yes. It's a streamlined way of hiring persons with disabilities.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
So what is the best way to create a federal resume?
That's a great question. So there's a page on the USA Jobs website that breaks down from a series of bullet points everything that you're going to need on your federal resume. I have a link to that. I'm not sure if it will work right now if I send it through. Is the chat live? If I send a link.
So probably better if we send it out following the webinar.
Okay. Yeah, that works. So I will send out a link to that site on the USA Jobs website. And then also a link to a document which will help guide you through what to put on your federal resume. So that'll guide you through like structurally how to set it up, but I just want to stress that it's important to make sure that every bit of your experience is listed on there. So
How do I find a list of current job openings to look through?
okay. So you're going to find those jobs on usajobs.gov. And I would recommend going to that site today or whenever you get a chance and sign up. And you're going to want to upload your resume and schedule a letter when you get that. And from there, you'll be able to look at all the Department of State jobs. And there's also ways that you can filter down if you're just looking for jobs local to whatever area you're in, or jobs specific to a series that you're looking for. Let's say HR specialist or program analyst. But also jobs for every agency in the government are on usajobs.gov. So I would recommend starting there and just playing around with it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Well, thank you for all the great questions that were submitted to us. Ryan, thank you again for all the great information you shared today. It was very helpful. Everyone who registered for today's event will receive a follow-up email with the slides and recording of this webinar within the next 2 weeks. On this slide, you will see both our websites and contact information listed. Anyone who is on SSDI or SSI disability who isn't already our client can go to myemploymentoptions.com and hit apply now. If you become our client, we can help you directly with Schedule A hiring and federal jobs. We also have the career page listed for the Department of State that Ryan mentioned. It is careers.state.gov. This concludes our webinar. Thank you again for attending and have a great rest of your day.